This debate misses the real issue. Welcome to day 54. I'm Dr. Nicole, and today I'm reacting to a viral marriage debate that's been circulating online. As a psychologist who works with couples, I watch these internet debates with a lot of fascination, not because of the positions people take, but because of what they reveal about how we think about relationships. Most of these debates miss the deeper psychological dynamics that actually make or break marriages. They focus on surface level behaviors while ignoring the emotional maturity that underlies all healthy relationships. Today, I want to bring some nuance to the noise and talk about what really sustains marriage beyond all of these viral talking points. Let's start by understanding why these debates become so polarized and heated. The internet debates thrive on extremes because extreme positions get more engagement. It's just a fact. Nuanced, balanced perspectives don't go viral. Dramatic, controversial takes do. This creates a false binary. You're either completely traditional or completely progressive. You either believe in gender roles or you reject them entirely. You either prioritize the man's needs or the woman's needs. But real marriages don't exist in these extremes. Real marriages are complex, nuanced, and require both partners to be flexible, understanding, and willing to adapt to each other's needs. This is what the research says, and we see it in our clinical offices. The polarization happens because people project their own relationship wounds onto the debate. Complex relationship dynamics get reduced to these sound bites and these viral short videos. Personal experiences get generalized as universal truths. Fear and insecurity drive people to defensive positions. And what gets lost in the noise is individual differences between couples, the importance of emotional maturity over rigid rules, the fact that healthy relationships require both giving and receiving, and the reality that what works for one couple might not work for another. As a result, the people argue about surface level behaviors while ignoring the deeper emotional and psychological factors that actually determine relationship success. One of the biggest problems I see in these debates is the misunderstanding of masculine and feminine energy. I see some common framing errors. Error number one is confusing energy with gender. People assume that masculine energy always equals men and feminine energy always equals women. But both men and women have access to both energies, and healthy relationships require both partners to be able to access both energies when appropriate. However, we know that as women, especially the women I'm talking to, they often are overcorrected in their masculine energy. That's why it's so important for the polarity in the relationship for them to be able to really connect to their feminine energy. And I think the same can be said for some men, where they have been raised in a way where they really haven't been able to have access to healthy masculinity. And they veer more towards looking for a motherly figure or looking to be in a more feminine role. The second error I see is making energy roles rigid. So the debate often becomes about who should always do what rather than understanding that energy roles can be fluid and situational, and especially in our modern times, they require that. Error three is villainizing one gender or energy. Either masculine energy is portrayed as toxic and controlling, or feminine energy is portrayed as weak and manipulative. And then men are seen as toxic and controlling, and women are seen as victims. Both energies are beautiful and necessary, the masculine and the feminine. The fourth error I see is ignoring individual differences. Not all men are the same, and not all women are the same. Some people have different natural energy patterns, and that's okay. What these debates miss is that healthy relationships aren't about rigid role adherence. They're about complementary energy exchange that serves both partners. Sometimes the woman has to operate in a more decisive, action oriented manner. And sometimes the man needs to be able to be more nurturing and flowing in his energy. And sometimes it's the reverse. The key is flexibility and responsiveness to what the situation and the relationship need. The goal isn't these perfect or these rigid roles. It's creating a dynamic where both people feel valued, supported, and able to be their authentic selves and able to access the energy that they've been cut off for. And like I said, for a lot of women, we've been cut off from our feminine energy, and a lot of men in our times have been cut off from their masculine energy. Here's what's almost always missing from these viral marriage debates: emotional maturity. The debate focuses on who should do what tasks, who should make which decisions, who should initiate what behaviors, and who should have which responsibilities. But they ignore how to communicate needs without attacking, how to handle conflict without damaging the relationship, how to maintain individual identity within the relationship, how to support each other's growth and evolution, and how to repair when mistakes are made. Emotional maturity is what makes any relationship dynamic work, regardless of how traditional or progressive it is. You can have the most perfect role distribution, but if both partners aren't emotionally mature, the relationship will struggle no matter what it looks like to the outside. Conversely, you can have an unconventional dynamic to those on the outside, but if both partners are emotionally mature, able to access their energy, and able to complement each other, the relationship can thrive. Emotional maturity includes self awareness and personal responsibility, the ability to communicate needs clearly and kindly, conflict resolution skills, this is key, empathy and perspective taking, the capacity for repair and forgiveness, and emotional regulation during stress. These skills matter more than who takes out the trash or who makes dinner. And and to be honest, by the sound of some of these debates, the loudest voices have not been in healthy long-term marriages or relationships. Let me share what I've observed actually sustains marriage based on working with couples for more than 2 decades. Mutual respect. Both partners value each other's perspectives, contributions, and autonomy. They don't try to control or diminish each other. Emotional safety. Both people feel safe to be vulnerable, to make mistakes, to express needs, and to be their authentic selves without fear of rejection or worse, attack. Shared values and vision. While they may have different roles or approaches, they're aligned on what matters most and where they're going together. Commitment to growth. Both partners are willing to evolve, learn, and work on themselves and their relationship. They see challenges as opportunities to grow closer. Effective communication. They can discuss difficult topics, express needs, and resolve conflicts in ways that strengthen rather than damage the relationship. Appreciation and gratitude. Can we have more of this, please? These couples regularly acknowledge and appreciate each other's efforts, qualities, and contributions to the relationship. Physical and emotional intimacy. They maintain connection through both physical affection and emotional closeness, adapting as life circumstances change. Individual identity. They maintain their own interests, friendships, and sense of self while also building something strong together. Notice what is not on this list: specific role divisions, who does which household tasks, who makes which decisions, perfect adherence to either traditional or, quote, progressive models. These practical matters can be negotiated and adjusted based on each couple's preferences. But the foundation elements I listed are non negotiable for long term relationship success. Instead of debating who should do what in marriage, here are the conversations we need to be having. How do we develop the emotional intelligence to love each other? How do we create relationships where both people feel valued and supported? How do we navigate the inevitable challenges of long term partnerships with grace and wisdom? How do we maintain individual identity while building something beautiful together? How do we adapt our relationship as we both grow and change over time? How do we repair when we hurt each other? Because inevitably this will happen. How do we create the kind of love that inspires others and leaves a positive legacy? These questions lead to much more productive conversations than arguing about whether wives should submit or whether husbands should lead. They focus on the heart of what makes relationships work rather than getting caught up in surface level role debates. Nuance beats noise every time. Real relationships are complex, beautiful, and require wisdom, not rigid rules. They require emotional maturity, not perfect role execution. They require love in action, not just love in theory. Instead of getting caught up in viral debates about who should do what, why this person got divorced, why those people got together, who cheated, focus on becoming the kind of person who can love well with kindness, respect, emotional intelligence, and true, genuine care. Make sure you hit subscribe for day 55, where I'm sharing the story behind the Damsel Me Please journal, the personal inspiration behind one of my favorite creations. Tell me in the comments, what do you think is the most important quality for a healthy marriage? I'll see you tomorrow. I'm Dr. Nicole.